Hello, and welcome to another edition of Your Bridge to Addiction Resources, a program that is sponsored by the Council on Chemical Abuse and the People Chronicles. My name is Yvonne Stroman. I'm the Community Program Specialist at the Council on Chemical Abuse, and today we're going to have a conversation about community efforts, community prevention efforts within different townships, and particularly today with Kutztown. And with me I have Mr. Andrew Brett. I'm going to ask if he wouldn't mind giving his title of where he works and specific what are his duties, and we'll have a conversation about a coalition that he's involved with called Kutztown Strong.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm very proud to represent Kutztown Strong, a grassroots community task force in the Kutztown Area School District. I am employed by the Kutztown Area School District as a school counselor, as I have been for the last 13 years. It's my passion, it's my home, and I'm very pleased to be part of this organization and looking forward to talking to you about that.
Well, thank you. And can you just, what Kutztown Strong, how did it get started? Did it come out of some concerns out of the community? Talk to us a little bit about Kutztown Strong.
Sure. Kutztown Strong started in 2014, and it was a community response to the tragedy of opioid abuse and eventually deaths in our young people. And we started our organization right around the same time that our neighboring school district, Brandywine Heights, did.
Okay.
In one week, they had their community task force meeting and had hundreds of people come out. The following week, we had ours and had hundreds of people come out to express their concern and to want to become involved to make a difference in the community. That group of 200 has sort of narrowed down to a relatively sizable group still of committed individuals who want to make a difference in the Kutztown community. And that group decided to name ourselves Kutztown Strong to show the strength in community and that community members can make a difference. It truly is a community organization. It is part of the Kutztown School District, but it's not a school function, it's a community function. And most of our members and our board of directors come from the greater community, from people who live or have a vested interest in the Kutztown School District and our students. Kutztown Strong primarily has three different missions. One of them is to create educational opportunities and through evidence-based research to come up with ways that we can help our students. And we recognize that that's something that has to happen K through 12, or actually K through 16. We are in a college community and we do not ignore our college partners. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. So the educational part is huge for us because we want to make sure that we reach everyone K through 12 in our school system. So we look to see what is appropriate for our elementary school students. We find one of our groups in Kutztown Strong creates a newsletter that goes out 4 times a year that talks about not necessarily drugs directly, but about decision making and networking and how to say no to certain things. And it's really has taken off. And the Kutztown Chronicles is the name of that newsletter, which is created by our staff and by our older students for our younger students.
Sure.
And the elementary teachers are finding that it's a great resource for them. At our middle level and high school level, we incorporate the life skills program, which started out with the Council on Chemical Abuse. Last year, we've had some of our own teachers trained in that, so
Wonderful.
that we can do that in house. The last thing that we do as far as education, which leads into the research component, is that we utilize the PAYS research from the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. And Kutztown Strong thought that wasn't enough research because that's really only given every other year, and we have half of our population that's not researched. So we created our own survey, and which will go out to our students in the opposite years, and we'll be doing that within the next month. So that way we have comprehensive data from every student in our district. So education is one of the bigger things. Research is part 2, and that is what does our community need? What does our community have, and what does our community need? So that they utilize the PAYS data and then take that information and incorporate that into the needs and wants, the risk and protective factors of our community, and where do we go from there? And the third component is what sort of activities can we provide for our students and our young people? And that has really taken off tremendously. We have a very active middle school group and a very active high school group of students who want to provide opportunities. We thought in the very beginning that we as adults would know what sort of things kids would want to do, and quite honestly, that wasn't successful. We had to look and develop a student group. And so we surveyed our students, and they told us, here are the things we want to do, and it was activities, and it was fun things. So we basically tell our students through Kutztown Strong, tell us what you want, and we'll make it happen. And we've been very successful in the last 2 years to find funding, to find resources, to work with our partners at the university, to come up with activities for our students to do, and basically to give them better things to do than to get into trouble, to find illegal and illicit things to do out on the street. So the education, research, and community activities have been the sort of the core values of Kutztown Strong.
And it sounds like what I heard you say was it's not a school ownership, but the community has taken ownership of Kutztown Strong. And as part of that community ownership, you have students that are engaged, that are actively engaged in sitting next to adults making some key decisions?
That community partnership, and as I sort of mentioned before, it is a K through 16 initiative, so that in addition to having our own high school students sitting next to community-minded adults and teachers and myself as a counselor to come up with activities and ideas, we've partnered with some organizations at Kutztown University. So we have the university population there, which is a great way to show our students that there are role models out there, that our university students are not all doing things that are wrong or immoral, that we have role models that then reach out to our high school students and our middle school students and work with them on a weekly basis through the planning process. And then when we have our activities, we actually have a fraternity and a sorority who come and help us and provide the resources to work with our students and with the activities. Like we had a capture the flag night at the park where our guys from our fraternity came and they were like the referees, and what a great response from our kids. It really, because it wasn't the adults, and it was people of their own age that
wonderful.
Came to help them. So that worked out really nicely.
Yeah, because there is evidence that shows that peer-to-peer influences are really pivotal to individuals making really good decisions. And so your information about the university actually working in tandem with your middle school and high school students, I just think it's unique as it relates to other communities and what's happening, and just some of the positive efforts that are happening. When you talk about the sororities and fraternities, usually, in our minds as adults, we have a picture of what that looks like, but you're rendering another picture to say these young people are actually giving back.
Correct. And very actively, and wanting to do as much as they can, wanting to do more. One of the other parts that I want to mention that I think is important is that not only do our university partners, we have another group that works with as mentors that are trained as a mentorship program that works with a specific elementary population. So not only are those university partners working with the middle school, working with the high school, but they're also reaching out as a mentorship. We identified an area in our community that was of greater need for lots of different reasons, and focused on that, and have developed in the last year 2 after-school evening programs specifically for a specific community, partnering with the university. And one is for mentorship, which is activities, mentorship activities, and also homework help. And the second night of the week is more of a literacy program, where we have volunteers from our community library coming and teaching kids about the importance of reading. So, and while that all doesn't sound like on the surface that it sort of is the mission of Kutztown Strong, and that it was based on a reaction to drug and alcohol, but you know what, if we can start at elementary with mentorship and better decision-making skills, we are hoping that in the long term that we can sort of pave the way for something different 10 years down the road. Yeah, and your student surveys that you take will give you that picture of how are things changing for the better. Correct. Because it's just so pivotal in terms of finding out from our students what are those risk factors that are encouraging some of those behaviors, such as using alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, but also what are some of those protective factors as well. And the community it can be a very powerful protective factor
factor
Yes.
in and of itself. Let me ask you in terms of the work that you've been doing, because now you've stepped outside of the school in your realm as a counselor into the community. How has this impacted you professionally and personally?
I think because I've been with Kutztown Strong from the beginning and have seen this grow, and I'm originally from the Kutztown area, so it's home for me, and it's nice to be part of something that started really from step one.
Yeah.
And professionally, I mean, it's certainly been, to step out of my role as a counselor is difficult for me because that's what I do, it's my passion. But to be able to go into the leadership role of this, it's been very interesting. It's been very educational to talk about organizations being nonprofit organizations and applying for 501c3 status, which are things that I've never had to deal with, but I'm learning a lot. But it's important for me to be able to make sure that Kutztown Strong is something that is not a short-term project, that is not something that is, we're not going to fix anything in a year or 2 years. And I think that's what the administrative part of the nonprofit and the 501c3 and the grant funding, if we can try to sustain ourselves for the long term, then to me that's the success that we're looking for right now. That's
wonderful. That's wonderful. And how can someone who may be viewing this video podcast that might want to know more about Kutztown Strong, how can they gain access to your website?
Our website is www.kutztownstrong.org. I believe if you go to kutztownstrong.com, both of them will funnel you to the same website. We have resources there. We have contact information. We have an email address that is specific to Kutztown Strong.
You also have your meeting list. You also have your next meeting as well, right?
We have monthly meetings that are open to the public. We encourage our people to come, even if this is their first time. We want them to get involved. We want them to know what's going on and to feel part of it. We do our best to make them feel welcome and engage in a conversation about whatever they're passionate about, whether it's research or whether it's education, or if somebody wants to talk about fundraising, we're all about that too, because that's part of it. So our next meeting is coming, as I said, we do meet on a monthly basis, and that's all part of that website.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for stopping by and talking with us about Kutztown Strong.
Thank you for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And for those that might want more information about the Council on Chemical Abuse and the work that we do, you're welcome to visit our website at www.cocaberks.org. That's COCABERKS.org. Or give us a call, 610-376-8669. This is your Bridge to Addiction Resources. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Check back every week for a new story with your Bridge to Addiction resources. You can call 610-376-8669 or visit online at cocaberks.org. COCABERKS.org. Be sure to like and follow the Council on Chemical Abuse on Facebook and Twitter.